Welcome, everyone, my magic manifester makers. I am bringing to you another professional. Her name is Launi King, and she is going to talk about what it is that she does and how she makes money doing it. And hopefully, y'all will be able to pick up what she's putting down and be able to implement it in whatever you're doing. Or if you know someone that does something similar, that you say, hey, I heard something, maybe you should try this or tap into that. It's all about information and getting information to you all. Y'all gonna hear less talking from me and more talking from her. So without further ado, thank you, Lonnie, for being on the show with me today.
No, thank you so much for having me on. This is exactly the kind of forum that I'm looking for. Want to share information with our community and even our broader community around consumer products. Most people don't really understand consumer products. They don't understand how it works. They just know they go to the store, they see a brand that they like, and they pick it up and they buy it. They don't know that there are hundreds of people, at least in corporate where I started, working on these brands and creating and building them. So thank you so much for putting this together. I'm excited to get into it.
All right, so before we get started on your consumer product, can you
Yeah,
just give us a little some background on that career side, corporate career
absolutely.
side?
Yeah, so for anybody that lives in LA, I grew up in Pasadena, a suburb outside of Los Angeles. I'm one of 6 kids. We are now all entrepreneurs, which is very exciting because we share information with each other. So now this is a part of the larger family that we're sharing information with. Um, I started off going to Art Center College of Design, which was a school for creative designers. And that school was very expensive. And also, I'm the kind of person that really learns through doing. And so I said, you know what? It was like 65,000 a year. I was like, how am I ever going to make that back? You know, I'm like 18 years old as a creative. And I went to a graphic design school called Platt College, which isn't even in business anymore, but it's a trade school. And there are other schools like this out today. And while I went to school there for about a year and a half, I didn't graduate from either of those universities. A job was presented to me at Motown Animation, putting out 4 Black comic books. And I was really excited to go do this. And I did. I left school and I started working. I went to Motown Animation, and in about a year, I went through and experienced my first reorg. They moved the company to New York. I was out of work. And I went to a temp agency and I just said, get me in any way you can. I went in as a data processor at Warner Brothers. And I basically just went to every creative department and said, try me, give me projects. You know, it was really me just making my own opportunity and just saying, give me a chance. I can prove myself and you know, do this job. And I did. A year later, they hired me on the lowest creative position they could give me, a junior production artist. And I worked hard, but I also started moving around. And it's something that I try to tell people, if you're in corporate and you have an opportunity to be in a place where there's a legal department, there's a marketing department, there's a retail department. I mean, literally, they have what you need for building your entrepreneurial business later. You have it around you. And so I would go from department to department, introduce myself. I was the only Black woman in the building at the time, which we're going to encounter and you're going to encounter throughout your career. Um, and so for me, if you're a Black woman, and for me, I kept it pushing and I just started taking on additional projects. I started working with our sales and marketing team and they said, can you help us take the art that you've been developing as a creative to put on products like my shirt here and like April has on her shirt. And then can you show our licensees how they can make products out of it? Chairs, cups, cosmetics, anything, apparel, accessories. And I started doing that. I did that for 4 years. And then they came to me and asked me if I would oversee creative in Latin America and teach other countries how to do what we were doing in North America. And so my background really took off after that. I grew and expanded within corporate, doing creative development, which is creating art to put onto products, and then helping companies to create products that they put into the market. And so I worked at Warner Brothers. I left Warner Brothers after moving to Mexico for 2 years, came back, worked for Disney. I left Disney, I went to Mattel. I left Mattel and then I went to Fox. And then 8 months into being at Fox, Disney bought Fox and I was back at Disney. And so the background on my corporate side is pretty much that in a nutshell. And that's what allowed for me to work in a lot of different categories and understand, the ins and outs of product design as well as creative development.
How many years, did you do that?
So gosh, over 25 years. So I
Okay,
started a couple years out of school, and I was at Warner Brothers for 9, Disney for 11, Mattel for about 2, and then Fox 3
okay.
when you add it all together.
So you
Yeah.
got a few degrees, a couple of masters, and some doctrines.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, I was
Exactly.
just trying to figure out how many degrees you had received
Yeah.
with all that time.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so now you have entered into the space as an actual consumer product brand owner. So
Yeah.
let's talk about your products a little bit, and then tell me what made you step into this.
Yeah. So because I had been developing products for years, I had stepped outside into a corporate executive level. And so I had teams of as large as 50, in which we were developing products. And we would develop products for companies as big as, if it's a product that's directly for a retailer. It would be Walmart and Target and Spencer's and Macy's and Nordstrom's, whomever. But we also worked with Mattel and Hasbro and Huffy and Mad Engine, like all of these different companies in a lot of different categories. And I would develop products for these companies, and they would make millions. I would write up these strategies, and it was about double-digit growth year over year. And that was my goal. And we would grow the business at such a rate that I was like excited, right? Everyone wants to be successful at their job. But after being at companies in which diversity was something that wasn't expanding at a rate that I had hoped,
Mhm.
I was still, after 20 years, the only Black woman for the most part in a room doing what I do. So there may have been someone who came in and they were in legal, maybe someone in marketing, but from a design and creative and product perspective, it was normally only me. And so I wanted to build a company where from its foundation, diversity and inclusion was part of the fabric. It was important to me. Having women and people of color was critical, because we need a seat at the table, because all of our different experiences make products and companies better, right? And more
Right.
diverse. So that was one of the reasons why I left. I also left because I started working on products. When I went back to Disney, they asked me to work on a limited edition Ultimate Princess. They gave me the choice, and I chose Tiana. And at the time, I was able to do whatever I wanted. It was a $200+ doll, and I was able to dive into the history behind how Tiana came about in New Orleans. It was a part of something I was connected to in my roots. She was an independent woman that wasn't looking for a savior. She loved love, but that wasn't what her main goal was. She was a businesswoman. She loved her family, and so many different things tied back into what I believe and what um, pushes me. My father was a Motown producer turned pastor. My mother was an author. And seeing the similarities in the storylines, I love to cook.
Mm.
Cooking is my second passion. I was either product or it was going to be food. And so the fact that she cooked gumbo with her dad, I cooked gumbo with my dad. I was like, this is amazing. And so knowing that
And the
they
fact that now I know that is also amazing because I know where to go now. Go ahead.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm putting all of this research together around the fact that she was based off of Leah Dookie Chase during the civil rights movement. There was just so much of a story I could tell. And when I was done developing this doll, the doll sold very well and very quickly. I can't find them anymore. I have two at my house. Don't come to my house. I have two at my house. And and it put such a level of pride. All of the young girls and moms that were ordering the doll, not just for themselves, but to give to people, and then to come back to me and tell me how much of an impression that has made on their life, made such an impact, a bigger impact than I ever knew after working on princesses and Barbie and all these other things that didn't look like me. Um, and because of the success of that, they came back to me. And the Little Mermaid movie was coming out with Haley Berry,
Mhm.
Bailey, and she said they asked me to make a doll that was authentic to what she looks like. And she had hair like mine. She had, twists with curls, and we worked on the marketing. We worked on the authenticity. And I presented that doll to her and her publicist, and she cried. And the publicist told
Mm.
a story about how she had, mixed race children, and that she would get dolls and literally color them in with crayons to make them look in a manner that her children could relate to. It made me so emotional, and I wanted more of that. I wanted more of the ability to make a connection in my own community, um, and to have more control over my life. The amount of reorgs that happens at companies, for some reason they don't meet their numbers, and then you are worried that you're not going to have a job, that level of stress. And so those were the three main things that made me want to launch out on into my own company. So while I was at my last company, I started building my own company. And I used my salary to pay for the things that I needed. I knew that I wanted to come out with products. I wanted to invent products that were patentable. They needed to be brandable, and they needed to solve an everyday challenge. Those
Mhm.
are my three tenets for every product that I'll ever put out and invent.
Say those three things again.
They need to be patentable, they need to be brandable, and they need to solve an everyday challenge. People
Got it.
don't know what they uh, need until you kind of take a look around and do the research to see what is that white space in the
Mhm.
market. Because when you go into a crowded space, it's more challenging to have a retailer or anyone else say, oh, I already make t-shirts, but I can make your t-shirt a little better. And so now they're slicing
Mhm.
things. But we all have original ideas. People walk up to me all the time and they're like, oh my God, I hate this thing. And I have the perfect thing in my mind of how to solve it. But they don't know how to take it from the idea that's in their head to actually being able to put that product out. And so I've done a lot of that work. And so, I'm excited to share some of the steps. It'll probably take more time than this conversation, but obviously anyone can reach out to me. I'll give you my information at the end, and you can reach out to me or my team, and we're more than happy to share that information so that we can continue to build on our successes.
Because
Yeah.
that's the big piece. And maybe if you could just shed just a little bit of light, because it kind of chimes into, well, it may not be your biggest challenge because you've been doing it for so long. That may be another question.
Oh,
But yes,
trust me, it's still a challenge.
okay. So let's talk about it. Like, how do
Yeah,
you make that idea
yeah,
become a physical product and then actually turn profit with that
yeah.
physical product? That's a
So
lot.
I can give you 2 out of 3 because I'm
Mhm.
still working on profitability because the company just started. God, we're coming up on 2 months that the product launched. So it's barely even in the market.
Two
So
months, and you reached out to me as soon as it dropped.
yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
Okay.
But I've been working on this for a long time as
Okay.
far as what is needed to set your company up and put the foundation down in such a manner that you're growing, right? And it's not an overnight thing. And I think what one of the things I want to share with people is this is a journey. Being an entrepreneur is a journey. And so a lot of people, because we're on social media the way that we are, sorry about that.
They think it's overnight.
Yeah, they think it's overnight, but they don't know in the background, I had been, dreaming about and thinking about what I wanted to do, and I had to refine it, especially if you're a person that has a lot of gifts. right? If you're good at a lot of things, you end up being a person that's spread too thin. And so for me, I mean, I just described all the different things I had been doing. And I literally had to take the time to sit down and say, what is my why? Why am I leaving this company? Because the entrepreneurial journey is not an easy journey. It's a fulfilling journey and it will be a profitable journey, but it takes time. And so I had my why, which is what I described earlier. But in addition to that, I wanted to be able to put out a product that would that I could live off of, that I could take care of my family, that I could give back into my community. Those are the things when things get challenging is what pushes me to keep moving forward and makes it so that when things are challenging, you're not like, which by the way, the thought of go back and get a job has been here multiple times, but it's not at the end of the day what I really want. And so that's what keeps pushing me. So when I started thinking about, the fact that I wanted to put out a product, I had to start researching what do I have to do that?
Mhm.
And one of the things that I needed to do was I wanted the product to be patentable. In order for you to have a product that you can patent, you either can get a design patent or you can get a utility patent. For me, I wanted to solve a problem. And in solving that problem, I needed a utility patent, right? I needed something that when I created this, someone else, which by the way is going to come and try to knock you off very quickly, and normally out of Asia, someplace where a lot of the manufacturing is taking place, you need to be able to push back and say, no, this is mine. You need that piece of paper. One thing people didn't tell me when I was going after my patent is you need a patent in every country that you want to sell in. So just keep that in the back of your head. Because I was working a job, and because, to be perfectly honest, one piece of advice I would give is you're not in a rush if you have a job. It
Mhm.
may not be your favorite job, it may not be the most fulfilling thing, but when you need the capital to be able to do some of the things that I did, I used my job to do that. So after I paid my bills and I decided I wasn't going to go get that expensive dinner or take that trip because I needed to invest in myself, I took the 20% that maybe I had left over or whatever that was, and I found an attorney. And I
Mhm.
said, how much is it going to cost me to get a patent for this product? I'm not a patent attorney. I would
Right.
never tell someone to take on something that many times has a lot of legalities around it. So he told me it was going to cost me about $5,000. And mind you, you'll get a lot of different quotes, but that's the one my attorney told me. And I said, okay. And so I paid him a little bit at a time. I said, start the process. And then I peeled off 1,000. And then I peeled off 1,500 until it was done. Right. So now in my living room, I have a big plaque that says Launi King holds this patent. Right. That was my first big goal. So when you want to go out and get a patent, you want to find and do the research around, does this product exist? My product didn't exist in the market. There were things that were similar, but they didn't hold those three tenets. And so for me, that was my way of being able to have a product that only I could really do. People can change it a little bit, but for the most part, that patent is mine. So that was my process around getting the patent.
Before we go further, what's the product?
Oh, so I make a product, they're called Class Bs. So they are patented, yet functional, stylish accessories that allow you to put them on your drawstrings. So I'm wearing two of them here, and it keeps your drawstrings from going into your clothing. And so I have them, they come in three different shapes. And I'll talk about this towards the end, but they come in all different designs. So I have them like as a basketball, but as you can see, I'm trying to have a basketball, have a little cupcake, and so when you're starting to think about your age demographic, these things become important because if you want to go after kids, you need something that looks like this. If you want to go after adults, you may want to do something that says, I am joy, or I am love, or I am a boss, right? But the part that is patented for me is you've probably seen a product that's like on a backpack and it slides. It's like a little clasp that you can put on it. It normally has one little button. It's not brandable in any way. and it also doesn't hold tight like this. So my product, if you can see the top, when you push both buttons on either side, it
Mhm.
opens up the middle and there's a clutch on the inside
Yeah.
that keeps your hair from getting caught as well.
Mm.
So as we started thinking about like, how can we put this together? And the attorney was doing, excuse me, the research. He basically said, okay, I think we have something right here. And so with this is going to allow for me to put a product out that solves a problem. But one of the things that's really important to me is I want people to have the ability to show their fandom and to showcase the things that they love and to showcase who you are, right?
Right.
Because we're all different, we're all individuals. And so those things should be celebrated. So that's my product, and it's my very first product. I have another product that is going through the patent process now. So for me, my business is to make a product, invent that product, put it into the marketplace, and then eventually down the line to sell it off and to bring the next product in and the next product in, because that's what I've been doing for years. And so I've seen how quickly you can do it. But the other side of what I'm learning, and this is something, that we said you can't do overnight, I'm building my community and I'm
Mhm.
building an awareness of my product. And so I think many people feel that you're going to go on, you're going to get on a social channel, and then right then your product's going to go viral and everyone's going to go out and buy it. People need to even learn that the product is there, and they need to learn that they love it. You need to see people playing with it, holding it, washing their face with it, whatever those things are. People need to have time. And so you have to be able to have enough money to be able
Mhm.
to sustain yourself while your brand is building, right? These are lessons, by the way, I'm learning now. Although I knew it, I didn't truly know that there are so many different things when you're selling products. For me, my business model is direct to consumer. So there are many different channels of distribution. You can sell wholesale, you can sell business to business, right? B2B. You can sell as a supplier, you can sell direct to consumer. And direct to consumers, you're selling online, you're selling at fairs, you're selling on social. And that D2C social channel is a complicated channel. And anyone that's done anything on Meta or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, all of those things need people and support. The algorithms are constantly changing, which means you're constantly learning. And so um, it's been interesting. It's exciting and it's great to see everything growing. But yeah, but it takes a minute. It takes a minute.
So would you say the biggest challenge right now where you are is just making sure you have working capital
Yeah, so
when building?
working capital is definitely something that I am finding to be, I don't know if I'm finding it challenging. I'm walking through the process right now. And I think part of that process is understanding that there are grants and there are loans and there are angel investors, people who, once you build out your business plan and you show your path to purchase, one of the things that I really didn't truly understand was the path to purchase. Most people don't spend the time to understand, like, how are people going to buy my product? So do I start with my advertising, and then when they see that, my website is set up and that's my path? Is my path that I'm going to put this together, I'm going to go out to a convention, I'm going to meet with retailers, and that's my path, right? And getting into retail, which you can talk about more than me, I only know it from the corporate side. I don't know it from your side. But getting in is can be challenging. And many times people may go a year or two before they're even given that opportunity to get into retail because shelf space is expensive.
And not even a year. Some people go there a very like they never make it into retail.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
retail also isn't for every single brand.
I agree. I completely agree. And I think that comes about when you do more research around your product and
Hmm.
where is your consumer? Who are you
Right.
targeting, and who's the one that you know will buy your product? And you want to go where they are. And they may not be at retail, and they definitely may not be at Walmart. Your person might be at Nordstrom's, or it may be at, some convention, Comic-Con. I have a lot of companies I worked with, their entire business all year was done at cons. They traveled the world. They went to San Diego. They went to WonderCon. They do the con in Brazil, the one in Mexico, Shanghai, Tokyo. You could do just nothing but cons. And so I think once you start to look into and do research around where's your consumer, it'll open up a world and open up different options that aren't quite so limited to I can only do, going into a retailer.
So the last question, which I think you answered it, but if you want to add to some or
Yeah.
add something else, but it's like, what advice would you give? You literally just gave a huge gem right there. But do you have any other advice that you would give to someone who has an idea? Because I get that in my DMs all the time. I have this idea, I'm just trying to figure it out, or I have this product, I'm just trying to figure out how to the challenge everyone's facing, how to get it
Yeah.
out there to the people. You said the path to purchase.
Yeah.
So what is there any additional advice that you would like to give?
Yeah, I think there's probably a couple things. The biggest advice I would give anyone is to do the research, right? Whatever the product is that you're thinking about, understanding who your competitive slate is critical. Understanding who is already out there. And then if they're already out there, that doesn't mean there's not space for you at all. But what it does mean is that you've got to figure out a way to differentiate yourself from what is out there, right? And once you start looking at the competitive slate, you can say, okay, I have this product. This is what makes me different. And then you can start to write out your business plan against that. In addition to that, take advantage of the fact that they've already spent the money. They spent the money, they did the work, they failed. And by the way, everyone we're looking at that we think has done so many amazing things failed over and over and over again. But it wasn't a fail, it was a lesson, right? It didn't go the way they thought it was going to go. And one of the things I've been learning along this journey is your product, whatever that is, organically may change. I found when I put my class out, I was like, I have patented this product and people are going to wear it on their drawstrings, right? And I was really excited. Most of the people who have purchased this are wearing them on their shoes. I'm so confused. I did a whole photo shoot around people wearing hoodies in this, and people are saying, this is the way I show my fandom. I like them on my shoes. I like them hanging off my backpack. I think having the ability to be flexible and to constantly pivot and not hold on so tight to your baby that you're not giving the baby room to grow. That's probably one
That
of my,
that that was that's it, gems. Just a short story after unicorn. I was being referred to as a unicorn because I have multiple businesses and I'm a mother of two boys. And so my friend kept calling me this unicorn. Long story short, a lot of people already know my story, but what they don't know, because my friend called me a unicorn, I did not see this as being a kid's brand at all.
mm,
So when someone approached me before we launched, he was like, "Hey, bro, I really think that you should launch this for kids too." And I was like, "For what? They're not unicorns." And then, and then my cousin was like, "April, I'm pretty sure I think kids really love unicorns." I'm like, "Well." So, but I didn't stay there. I was like, I listened to them. They said I should launch it with children. They showed me a mock up with a kid with a little Afro puff with her hands out, wearing an Afro unicorn shirt. I was like, okay, we're gonna bring these kids in the fold. But I brought them in, so I wasn't too stubborn. However, in the beginning, I called them Afro unicorns in training because I was like, well, they ain't no real unicorns. Like this is real life. So just
yes,
so
yes,
if you were really a closed off person and you just want
yeah,
it your way, this is how I envision it. This is what it's supposed to be. Y'all, I wouldn't be April Showers, the first Black woman, lifestyle character brand. Like none of that would exist because I would be in the kid space. The
right,
only reason why I was in the kid space is because I listened to what people were saying around me. And I said, okay, although this is not what I intended it to be, we're going to roll. So you
right.
got to be open.
Yeah. And April, by the way, that would have helped me because I cannot tell you how many people saw my product and said, your product is going to blow up on shoes. And I was like, that's sweet. That's so nice. Yeah. That's cute. I'm sure some people will wear it. And now I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's not that you're not smart. It's not that the idea isn't great. It's just that you got to leave room for the possibilities
Yep.
of what's going to happen organically,
Yep.
you know? Yeah.
That's very important. Okay, so how can people get in contact with you and how can they support and purchase these items?
Yeah. So my product is at www.claspees.com. So it's CLASPEES. My social handles are Get Claspies, so you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and you can purchase on the website, you can purchase on social. So that's the way you can find me. I would say the easiest way to get in contact with me is on my social channels because I'm constantly checking that. So if you write me at Get Claspies, I'll write you back. And be careful with anything I will say that's proprietary. We can definitely talk about some things, but since I invent products, I'm very careful about making sure that I want to talk about what it is that you're going to do, but you don't have to share everything. People can give you advice without you showing them everything. So yeah, please reach out to me. I'm going to be, because of April and or maybe kind of somewhat coincidentally, going to be doing a lot more work with Otis College, which is a design school
Yay.
in LA. And it's very important for me to give back in that space. So if you're a student there, I'll probably, speak with you there. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn. I'm under Launi King, Launi. I know it's not like the boy, Launi. Last name King on LinkedIn. And that's another place you can reach me and see everything that I'm up to. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lonnie, for accepting the invitation to be a part of our Magic Manifester Makers.
Yes.
And yeah, we're going to get the word out. And at the end of the day, it's all about being open and being willing to share information with other people.
Yeah.
And trust me, it always comes back full circle.
Always. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And it's so great
Thank
to be in your
you.
community. All right.
Take care.